In 1979, owner Wellington Mara would make the first step in the right direction, hiring George Young as the Giants' new general manager.
When I first took the job, the first responsibility I had is to find the best head coach that we could find for the Giants. And I'd like to introduce to you Ray Perkins.
Everybody, hey, let's put him in the hole. Everybody in here together. We're all in it together, baby. Kickoff team first. Defense, defense, defense.
When Perkins first came, he was quite interesting and stuff because he could see that, we needed some discipline here with the Giants, and he was tough on us. And to give you a quick example, we played the Steelers and we ended up losing like 13-7 in a preseason game. This is on a Saturday night. The next day, Sunday morning, he gets us all up for practice, and we go live goal line for 30 plays, which is ridiculous. I mean, you just don't do that. So we had a big rebellion against Ray Perkins. We're not going to put up with that stuff. And I never forget the night that meeting. He came in and he said, you know what, I don't care what you guys say. He said, I'll play with 22 rookies. I don't give a dang. So get the hell out of here if you don't want to play here, just like that. We needed that kind of discipline. We needed someone like that. But he changed it. He did change it. Him and George Young, I give him credit for changing this whole organization around. Because, obviously Perkins and George drafted Phil Simms in '79.
New York Giants first-round selection. Quarterback Phil Simms, Moorhead State.
The Giants had secured their franchise quarterback, but despite a young Phil Simms showing signs of brilliance at times, New York would still finish with a losing record in Perkins' first 2 seasons at the helm. But that would all change in the 1981 NFL Draft.
Lawrence Taylor completed one of the year's memorable plays.
The New York Giants selection, Lawrence Taylor, linebacker, North Carolina.
I was drafted by New York, and back in those days, New York Giants wasn't really on the radar, because they hadn't really won anything in a long time, and it didn't take long for me to fit in here and then really start to embrace the guys.
I just remember our first scrimmage. They had to take him out of the scrimmage because they couldn't run a play. He sacked the quarterback every play. I think he had 6 sacks in like the first 8 plays. I want to think it was Cliff Olander was the quarterback. He'd drop back, get hit, and he'd take the ball, spike it in the ground, like, gosh.
We all walked off the field saying, oh my God, this guy's going to be a force. And I remember sitting in a staff meeting and Coach Parcells, who was the defensive coordinator, said, well, I think we might want to go ahead and just, not start him and, just let him watch the game for a quarter. And Coach Perkins looked at him and said, you know what, just get him in there. He's our best player. And he was right. And Lawrence was ready to play from day one.
With their dynamic young linebacker in the starting lineup, the Giants would open up the 1981 season at home against the rival Philadelphia Eagles.
Our first regular season game was against Philadelphia, and they had beat us 11 times in a row.
A great over-the-shoulder catch by Rodney Parker for the touchdown. So the Giants are in danger of losing 12 straight to Philadelphia.
They made it 12 times that first game, and I was so upset that you could get on a roll where you lose to somebody 11 times in a row.
Determined to turn things around after the slow start, LT and the Giants' defense would rise to the challenge in Washington the following week.
2nd and 10, Theismann gets belted. He got hit by Tabor. It's picked up by Martin, and Martin scores a touchdown. It was Phil Tabor who hit him, and it was Martin who carried it over.
I think we made a statement there that we weren't going to be the same New York Giants that we've been for the last 25 years. This is a new crew in town.
The Giants' selection of Lawrence Taylor with the 2nd overall pick in the first round of the 1981 draft put New York back on the NFL map. LT would make an immediate impact, taking the league by storm and terrorizing opposing offenses.
On the football field, I felt that my level of play or my ability was pretty far up there. And the things that I could do, they couldn't do. They just couldn't do. It's something when you know that they can't do what you do.
Lawrence would be named Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he would form a special bond with then Giants defensive coordinator Bill Parcells.
Well, it's my guy, we came together as assistant, and he was a young draft choice and catalytic player, dynamic, easy to coach. That was the great thing about Lawrence. You teach him something, he could take it right with him. Your job when you get a player like that is to let the talent flourish.
Be more aggressive on that special now. They'll come back with that. You know, that slant counter there?
Yeah.
Kick it over.
I want to show how to play that.
Yeah.
Kick it. Go, Lauren. Kick it over.
Yeah.
I would always cause something to happen, either a fumble or a sack or something. And Bill said, we don't even have that defense. I said, well, you better put it in on Monday because it's a doozy.
Hey, baby, let's go out there like a bunch of crazed dogs and have some fun.
I think the enthusiasm I brought to the New York Giants, I think that's one thing I brought to the table.
Son, I gotta do better than this.
And I played at a high level, and the guys around me started to fall into that.
Taylor immediately became the heart of a ferocious Giants defense, and he, along with fellow linebackers Brian Kelly, Brad Van Pelt, and Harry Carson, formed a frightening unit that garnered an even scarier nickname.
Brad, Brian, Lawrence, and myself, you know, we were the crunch bunch, and we were big, strong, fast, and we were able to get after people. And you just felt like you could just smack people around.
The core of our defense were our linebackers, you know, and it became exciting and fun to just match my talent with these guys. And we made each other better, just made each other better.
With the Crunch Bunch leading the way and the defense at full strength, the Giants would notch their second win of the season at home against the New Orleans Saints. But after losing their next two games, in an effort to bolster the offense, George Young would orchestrate a trade for Oilers running back Rob Carpenter, who had been backing up the legendary Earl Campbell in Houston.
I wanted to see if I was good enough to really do something in the NFL. I wanted to carry the ball 25 times a game, and I really wanted to be an effective member of an offensive football team.
When Rob Carpenter came in, I mean, we finally got an offense that could run the ball. He gave us a running game. We had never had a running game. He was just a huge boost for our offense. I mean, it was just a fantastic trade for us.
Carpenter, touchdown.
When I saw Rob Carpenter, he was a guy who had a little different edge to himself. You know, he had moves, he had toughness, you know, he would give that extra effort.
Carpenter, man, I tell you what, the guy ran the ball hard every time. I mean, he brought it to the table every play. I was really impressed with him, and I think he was one of the big reasons why our offense started to click and we started to score some points.
Carpenter would prove to be the missing piece to the puzzle as the Giants rattled off their next 3 wins, including a thrilling overtime game in Atlanta.
Jones will kick the ball up, block. Free ball. Rolling down to the 20, down to the 15. Flowers is after it. Near the 5, Giants at the goal line. And it's in. Touchdown. Here we go. Good snap. It is up. It's got the distance. Touchdown. It's over. The Giants win. The Giants win. What an upset. What a big victory down here in Atlanta, Jim. You couldn't ask for anything more. A big victory.
1981 marked the 3rd season for Phil Simms as the Giants' starting quarterback, and the young gunslinger began to blossom behind center, throwing for over 2,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. But after leading Big Blue to 5 wins in their first 8 games, the franchise would suffer a setback when Simms went down with a separated shoulder in a Week 11 game versus Washington. To add insult to injury, the Giants were defeated by the rival Redskins, marking their 3rd loss in a row. But in true resilient fashion, New York would rally behind their backup quarterback, Scott Bruner, and the newly acquired workhorse, Rob Carpenter.
Carpenter, touchdown.
Once we could run the ball, it opened up the passing for Scott Bruner, and I mean, that he was a huge boost. And I give credit to Scott and the offense, but I mean, to be flat honest with you, it was our freaking defense. Our defense was playing outstanding. We were the best defense in the league by far.
Winning 3 of their next 4 games, the Giants would keep their playoff hopes alive, setting up a crucial regular season finale at home against the arch-rival Dallas Cowboys.
I will tell you the psyche of most New York Giant players up until that point was that the postseason was reserved for other teams. We had no clue what playoffs were like. We've always fallen short. We've never made it to the postseason. But you know what? We're going to make the postseason. And you know those Dallas Cowboys? We're going to beat those son of a guns this year. And for the first time, we said, yeah, I guess there's no reason why we shouldn't. It was absolutely a time when we felt that we could take on any comer and that we could be successful. And it was a mindset. It was just a different mindset.
Led by their tenacious, smothering defense, the Giants would shut out Dallas in the first half, paving the way for Scott Bruner and the offense to capitalize in the third quarter.
That was Tom Mulledy, the tight end.
Amazing catch by Tom Mulledy.
But the Giants' lead would be short-lived as Dallas rattled off 10 unanswered points in the fourth quarter.
Cosby has a touchdown, Dallas. And Dallas again has come from behind in the fourth quarter. They haven't won it yet, but they lead with 9:12 left to play, 10-7.
Needing a field goal to tie, quarterback Scott Bruner would once again rally the Giants, putting them in scoring position.
And whether we play more or whether we stay for a while is all in the hands now of the holder, Scott Bruner, and the kicker, Joe Danello. Danello from 40 yards away. It's good. A 10-10 tie with 25 seconds left to play.
In overtime, the Giants' defense would be put to the test, with Dallas trying to mount a game-winning drive.
From the shotgun, Danny White. Blitz again. Lawrence Taylor is there. Picked off by Byron Hunt, still on his feet. Byron Hunt puts the Giants back in business.
Joe Danello gets another life.
And that interception would set up Joe Danello's game-winning field goal in overtime as he kicked the Giants back into the postseason.
Good! The Giants win! The Giants win! The Giants win!
And the Giants stay alive.
Everyone's happy in Giant Stadium.
Number 18 gives the Giants playoffs after 18 years. That's appropriate.
New York's win over the Dallas Cowboys in the final game of the regular season kept Big Blue's postseason hopes alive. And when the Packers lost to the Jets the very next day, the Giants would clinch their first playoff berth in 18 years.
That year was magical because we got into the postseason. We got a taste of what superior play was all about, what great competition was all about. We saw the larger picture for the first time.
1 week later, they would travel down the road to the not-so-friendly confines of Veterans Stadium to face their arch-rivals, the Philadelphia Eagles, in the 1981 NFC wildcard game.
I was very happy that we had the chance to play Philadelphia Eagles in that playoff game because we made it a point that they weren't going to beat us more that year.
It was amazing because I can remember just like it was yesterday when Danny Pittman and the special teams ran down and they had this huge hit and set the tempo right off the bat. It caused the fumble, we recovered the fumble.
Free ball! Giants have it in the end zone! Touchdown! Oh my Lord! Giants got a touchdown!
Touchdown, Giants! Oh, these Eagle fans are really upset. Mark Haynes is the man who scored the touchdown, and the Giants are now up 19-0.
From now on, we had the momentum.
Bruner looking and throwing and has Missler, touchdown. A strike to John Missler.
Scott Bruner's 3 touchdown passes in the first half gave the Giants a commanding 27-7 lead.
As a man open, touchdown Giants is Mulledy. Mulledy, who scored that big one last week against Dallas, gets another one this week against Philadelphia.
But the defending NFC champion Eagles battled back on their home field, scoring 14 unanswered points in the second half, cutting the Giants' lead to 6. With 2.5 minutes left in the game, Ray Perkins' offense would need to hold on to the football to secure the win.
This was one time in a situation where the offense could win the game. We had done a great job up to that point, and if we got a couple first down, people were going to say, well, hey, the offense did their job, and they won the game when it had to be won.
And sure enough, with Rob Carpenter leading the way with 161 yards of rushing, the Giants would win the game, steamrolling to their first playoff victory in 18 years.
Giants sideline is going crazy, Pat. Look at those players over there. They're jumping up and down, congratulating each other. Smiling. They know they've waited. They've waited for this. They know what it is.
18 years since the playoffs.
It whet our appetite to know that we had the ability to go beyond mediocrity and that we could get in the postseason and we could be competitive with those better teams. That was I think the time that we came of age.
Hey Giants fans, Saquon Barkley here. You want to see more videos? Subscribe below.